Hey, everybody, it's Ryan Delacrosse, Ryan Scheel, and Father Rich Pagano from the Catholic Talk Show, and we've got a very special announcement to make. We're going on a pilgrimage May 13th through the 22nd of 2020, and we're inviting you.
Yeah. You've asked for it many times if we offer pilgrimages, and we have an amazing opportunity for the 100th birthday, the anniversary of John Paul II's 100th birthday. We are going to Poland and Rome to walk in the footsteps of Pope St. John Paul the Great. We're going to Warsaw. We're going to the place where Pope John Paul was born. We're going to have a papal audience in Rome with Pope Francis. We're going to have a mass celebrated at the tomb of Pope St. John Paul II. And we want you to join us on this amazing pilgrimage.
We want you to be a part of this 10-day trip where we're walking in the footsteps of St. John Paul II, from the place of his birth to the place where he rests now in his tomb in Rome. In the Vatican, we're going to be able to celebrate Mass at his tomb. How awesome is that? But even more importantly, to go to his birthplace and celebrate Mass where it all started for him, we're going to explore the whole life of St. John Paul II from beginning to end and everything in between. So for more details, I want you to click on the link below, catholictalkshow.com/JP2, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this trip.
Yeah, this is a really exciting trip. We've had so many of our listeners and so many of our fans say, we would love to go on a pilgrimage, and we talked about it. And this is an opportunity that's only going to ever happen once, where we can celebrate the centenary of St. Pope John Paul II the Great, getting a chance to see where he was born on his 100th birthday and celebrating Mass in the church that he was baptized on the 100th anniversary of his birth. That can never happen again. It's only going to happen one time ever on the 100th anniversary. So that's going to be amazing. So we're going to actually fly in on May 13th into Krakow. And from Krakow, that first day, we're going to be able to get recovered from the flight, see Krakow, have a couple beers, go out to eat, get to know everybody. We want to get to know you. We want to prepare you for the pilgrimage we're about to go on. We're going to discuss the life of John Paul II and his impact on the church and on ourselves. So we're going to get to know you that first day, have a couple beers, have some dinner, explore Krakow, get rested up for the rest of this amazing trip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second day, we are going to, the third day, we're going to one of the coolest places I think that not a lot of people know about, and that's the salt mine churches. You want to tell them about that?
So the salt mine church is really cool. So when you go down into the salt mines, there are just these beautiful carvings made out of salt. And one that comes to mind right off the bat is the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So he's literally carved into the wall, into this cavern, and there's a light that they placed behind his heart. So there's this light translucently emanating from this beautiful carving.
Yeah, it's essentially an underground church,
underground
carved out of
basilica.
salt.
Like it is so massive.
It's
the
so
cavern,
unique,
and it is very, very unique. It's a beautiful experience in and of itself, and it's absolutely fascinating.
Now, at the end of that day, we're also going to go kind of explore the darkness and the background of the upbringing of John Paul II in the context of World War II and Nazism. And we're also going to have a very solemn visit to Auschwitz, where people were just absolutely massacred, and where St. Maximilian Kolbe and St. Teresa Benedictine or Edith Stein were martyred. And we're going to kind of look into the face of evil there, and in the context of how John Paul II's life was able to overcome that.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the most impressive places I've ever been, because you do see just the manifest darkness and evil of World War II, and how many people were so unjustly and brutally killed through the gas chambers and these fire chambers.
But it's important to recognize that this was a formative element or a formative occurrence in the life of John Paul II, and it formed who he would become and why he was such a champion of human rights, of the dignity of the person, for interreligious dialogue, for everything that came after. This formed that young man.
And you'll see the tomb and really the cell of Maximilian Kolbe, which is just such a bright, radiant light in the middle of this really, really dark place. So it's something that is very, very unique to the Polish people, but especially to the life of John Paul II and Maximilian Kolbe. And like Sheil said, this is also where Teresa Benedicta of the Cross was killed.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that night afterwards, to kind of get ourselves out of that, and after having experienced that darkness, we want to get some levity back into it and prepare us for the rest of the trip. So that night, we are going to be going out to a true, authentic Polish brewery. We're going to have beers, and we're going to have an authentic Polish and Austro-Hungarian feast. So we're going to have tons of food. Now, one of the things that's important is that as part of this pilgrimage package, your flight is included, your hotels are included, a lot of your meals are included, lunches are included, tour buses are included, baggage fees are included. Everything that's included is available when you click catholictalkshow.com/John Paul II, and you can see what's included. But we've been able to have a very great relationship with this pilgrimage company, Select International Tours, and they are one of the highest rated pilgrimage companies in the world. You can look them up. So many people of acclaim work with them, and they've been able to put together this package that is, number one, amazing. I mean, Poland and Rome, but also so affordable. This is one of the most affordable pilgrimages with the amount of places that we are going to that you can even imagine. It's
and how everything is included, like you said.
Such an amazing value, you know, and that's when we said, look, for our listeners, we really want to have that because that'll make it possible for as many people as possible to experience this amazing trip.
Yeah, and going on a pilgrimage, man, it's just such a great thing to do, you know, with you guys as my brothers, with other people who watch our show, just to get to know folks and journey with them. Everybody's bringing their own spirituality there, their own just, you know, their soul, and it's going on pilgrimage, and the impact that it has is going to be amazing to see.
That's what I love about pilgrimage, is really the outcome of developing a lifelong friendship and relationship with the people that you're on pilgrimage with. And, you know, whenever I see anybody that I've ever been on pilgrimage with, it's an immediate hug. And it's like, man, those experiences that we had in Rome, those experiences that we had in Jerusalem. And think about this, celebrating the 100th birthday of John Paul II. You're never going to be able to do this again, ever. And that's going to leave a mark, especially on me, because I'm really hopeful that a number of my parishioners from St. John Paul II will come with me and we'll be able to consecrate our parish and our initiatives, our mission to Our Lady of Czestochowa through the intercession of St. John Paul II.
Now, you just said Our Lady of Czestochowa. So on that fourth day, on May 16th, we are actually going to get the opportunity to go to the monastery where the Black Madonna or Our Lady of Czestochowa is housed. Now, for those of you who don't know what that image is, number one, she's the patroness and the queen of Poland. But tradition also tells us that this icon is one of the only contemporary pictures painted of Our Lady, painted by the hand of St. Luke himself. So this is a really powerful icon that millions of people around the world venerate and has brought so many graces to people. So, and this is a place where John Paul II himself went to a lot. So his spirituality was formed by his devotion to our mother. And then after these first 2 days where we're in Krakow and then we're in Salt Mounds and Auschwitz, we're going to now start to look at his spirituality by visiting Our Lady of Czestochowa. We're going to get to visit the treasury room and the chapel and celebrate Mass. So, Father Rich, you get to celebrate Mass in the chapel of Our Lady of Czestochowa, where John Paul II himself celebrated Mass often.
And on his tomb, Pope's tomb.
We're getting there.
And, you know, for me, one of my first altars that I celebrated Mass as a newly ordained priest was the altar of St. John Paul II because of his great influence and help and assistance throughout my formation. But prior to that, I was going through a crossroads in my discernment, and I was really struggling. And it was actually at the chapel of Our Lady of Czestochowa that I discerned that I needed to take a leave of absence and step away from the seminary. And that was the most important thing that I did in my journey toward priesthood. And this is the very first trip back that I can go back and say thank you to Our Lady of Czestochowa for directing me to take that courageous step, leaving the seminary and spending time in India, in Jerusalem, and Italy, which really helped me on pilgrimage to overcome my fears and to take a step of faith toward the priesthood. And she has a lot to do with that. So to be able to celebrate a Mass of Thanksgiving with parishioners, with friends, with our friends from the Catholic Talk Show, with you guys, is going to be
I'm
very,
really,
very epic.
I'm really looking forward to meeting the people. I mean, we've had so many of them comment and we kind of interacted online, but it's going to be really cool to talk with everyone in person and go on this pilgrimage and get to know them and really bring them into the family in a very powerful way.
Yeah, I mean, we even are kicking around the idea of possibly doing a show while we're on the pilgrimage.
Yeah,
too.
that'd be pretty cool.
We're trying to work out those logistics, and I think that would be really, really cool,
And
especially
have some listeners.
exactly,
on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of fun, and clearly, I mean, just from our boards and our feeds, our comment sections, there's some people with personalities.
Yeah,
on
you guys
that.
see, I think we attract people who are just as fun as us. And I think those same kind of people are going to go on there. So we're going to have people who love their faith, love John Paul II, but also like to have fun. And that is the recipe for an amazing pilgrimage.
It is.
True.
So the next day of this pilgrimage will be May 17th, which is a Sunday. So what do we do on Sundays? We go to Mass. But this is going to be a really amazing opportunity because we are going to the Shrine of the Divine Mercy and celebrating Mass in the shrine that houses the original image of our Lord in the Divine Mercy as given to Saint Faustina. We're going to get to see Saint Faustina's tomb. We're going to get to see her monastery. And celebrate Mass there on the Sunday. And you're going to be with that Mass, and that's amazing.
And the gardens there are so beautiful and so precious. And I'll be sharing a number of these liturgies, God willing, with a brother priest that's coming from the diocese as well, who is very influential in Ryan's journey, my journey. And Father Tetlow, God willing, will be journeying with us on this great pilgrimage. So in the buses, you're either going to have Father Rich or Father John. You'll have a priest and you'll have a Ryan.
Yeah, you're always gonna have a priest and a Ryan. When we're on these buses, we're gonna make sure that we're preparing you both historically and spiritually, so that when you get to these places, you can understand their full impact. Now, I know that the Divine Mercy image has made a big impact on you, and being able to see that in person for me, that's going to be very powerful. And I know that for the people who go with us, seeing the Divine Mercy and celebrating Mass there will be a chance to tap into that mercy. And John Paul II had such an instrumental part in bringing this really this powerful feast into the church.
Now, and going to Mass with Father Rich and even Father Tetlow in a place like that, you know, you just take it all on you, and it's really awesome, like just to witness your priesthood and in that element. You know,
now that after we have Mass, well, you know, after Mass you go and eat, so we're going to go have lunch. But then after lunch, we're going to walk over to the newly constructed Have No Fear Center dedicated to John Paul II, where they actually house a lot of his actual relics. So we're going to get to go, after seeing Divine Mercy, we're going to go get to venerate the relics of Pope St. John Paul II in a large center that is dedicated to him, that really explores his life from documents and different sorts of things associated with his life, so you can get a really deep understanding of who this line of the church was. So the next day is the big day. So we're going to get our party hats on and get a birthday cake, because we are going to the birthplace of Pope St. John Paul II in Wadowice for his actual 100th birthday.
that's going to be a huge party, dude.
That is going to be a party. And let me just tell you,
can you imagine that village? Like,
we're not going to be the only ones there. This whole
be.
city is going to be, it's going to be a party you're never going to forget.
Never going to forget.
You've never been to a party where an entire nation, an entire world, and the entire church is celebrating a birthday party like this. This is going to be the greatest birthday party you've ever went to. Like,
we're going to be dancing in the streets.
You're going to be in ground zero of all this.
Absolutely.
You know?
So that day, we're going to be able to celebrate.
Oh man, I'm so pumped.
After we see the actual house where he was born on his 100th birthday, we're going to go just down the street, which is like within
literally
walking
right
distance,
across the street.
And we are going to get to celebrate Mass in the church where Pope St. John Paul II was baptized, which is, again, that is
pretty cool.
That's pretty crazy.
It really is.
And then that same day, we're going to actually get to go into the apartment where him and his father lived and see where the actual place where, number one, where he was born, but also where him and his father lived after his mother and his siblings died. So we're going to see, and it's still exactly the same setup as when they were living there. So you're going to get to actually see really deeply into the personal life of Pope St. John Paul II. It's amazing.
It really is. This is going to be a thrilling pilgrimage. Yeah. It's something that I could have never imagined happening. And praying about it and looking at the 100th birthday, a lot of my parishioners were asking to go to Our Lady of Guadalupe, where I wanted to do the consecration of the parish, the totus tuus of John Paul II, and praying about it, and then realizing like, it's the 100th birthday.
It was.
I threw around some ideas,
Yeah.
and a lot of the parishioners were excited about it. And then I presented it to the Ryans, and I just think this is a perfect match.
Yeah, this was a great, a great itinerary.
And it's an itinerary too that we put together in a custom way with selection. Like they were really good with.
Yeah, International Select is absolute masters at planning these, and they understand. Look, it's going to take time to get on the bus. It's going to take time to pray. It's going to take time to get drinks, have restroom breaks, have dinner. They understand exactly to create the best experience for a pilgrimage. The hotels are all going to be 4-star hotels, excellent quality. So like even for example, after we celebrate Mass and have that birthday party that evening, Select International is so good at this. They planned that we're going to get to, if we don't party too hard in Wadowice, we get to maybe stop at the Cathedral of St. Stanislaus and see his relics. But either way, we're going to have a birthday party that night where we're going to a local restaurant and eating not where the tourists eat, but a really local restaurant. And we're going to have a Polish folklore show, and we're going to get to eat incredibly authentic Polish food.
You're gonna
as
love
a
it.
big birthday party. We're going to have beers, and we're going to have all the. I just hope they have pierogies because that's.
They have fantastic pierogies.
Well, I know, but pierogies is my favorite thing.
Oh, you're
ever.
gonna love
I'm
it.
from
I'm telling you.
Cleveland.
I know you're gonna absolutely love it.
So
there's no comparison.
So after that big party, we're going to have a kind of quiet day the next day. And wrong. We're getting on a plane the next day because our portion of the trip to Poland is done. And now we are flying to Rome, the Eternal City. Now, if you've never been to Rome, this is going to be amazing. Rome is, it's the heart, it's the beating heart of the church. And
we're like a museum.
It is.
Whole
So
town is.
that
And we're going to have a papal audience.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That first day that we get into Rome, again, International Select Tours, they understand how, or Select International, they understand how a tour should go. So they're making sure that we're not overdoing it when we get into Rome because we're traveling, but we're still going to get to see Trefontaine, where St. Paul was beheaded. We're going to get to do a tour, a bus tour, a panoramic tour of Rome and see all the ancient sites, Colosseum and those types of things. So you're going to get a real understanding of Rome in a very laid back way in preparation for the next couple of days. It's going to be pretty awesome. For anyone who hasn't been to Rome, or if you've been to Rome, this is going to be great. And I can't wait to go there with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, the next day, which is May 20th, the 8th day of the pilgrimage, we are going to get to have a papal audience. We are going to get to go and have an audience with the Pope himself, Pope Francis, which I've never had one. And this is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Guys, like an audience with the Pope is special in anybody's life, and not a lot of people get that opportunity. I've been so humbled because I've been to the past several popes. I've been with JP2, I've been with Pope Benedict, I've been with Pope Francis, and it's a life-changing experience each and every time. It's a new experience every time, and it is bone-chilling. I mean, when the Pope drives by you in his motorcade in the Pope Mobile, and he looks at you and he blesses you, or it's a moving experience. Yeah. And to see the universality of the church and all nations gathered in the arms of St. Peter, to listen to the successor of Peter, to listen to the shoes of the fishermen being filled in the person of Pope Francis speaking to you is a pretty powerful experience.
Yeah. Then that night, after having that papal audience, there's a few options, and we're going to let you explore Rome on your own a little bit. So you can go a few things that we can help you figure out, but you can go and do.
We'll give some recommendations.
You can tour the catacombs. You can go see the Pantheon. You can go see all those things in Rome that you've ever wanted to see. This is your opportunity to do what you want and get a little bit of free exploration.
For
time.
sure.
Now the next day is the last day of all of our things, right? So that is May 21st, a Thursday. That's the 9th day. And we're going to be going to the Basilicas and the Vatican museums, and we're going to get to see the Sistine Chapel, which where Pope St. John Paul II was elected to the papacy in 1978. So if you've never been to the Sistine Chapel, I mean, this is your opportunity. We're going to go to St. Peter's, the Basilica of St. John the Lateran. We're going to see the holy stairs that Jesus walked up for his trial with Pontius Pilate. We're going to see the Basilica of St. Mary Major. You're going to get to see the great cathedrals in the Vatican Museum.
The major basilicas.
That's crazy.
That's a lot to do in 9 days, 10 days, man.
That's
That's a lot. I mean, that's a packed, you know.
I mean, it's
I'm going to
all
be
those
like,
things you want to
walking,
do.
like levitating when I get back. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the Sistine Chapel and a Papal Audience and the birthplace of John Paul II and meals and divine mercy.
Tracking the life of John Paul II and realizing what he did in all of these locations and, you know, evaluating his homilies and his deposit of faith, it's going to be life-changing for sure.
Yeah.
So then the next day, May 22nd, we fly home. And then we have those memories and those friendships with us the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
So that's right. I mean, this is a lot, right? We've got a beautiful pilgrimage planned for you. We want you to be with us. This is going to be an incredible experience for all of us. And to track the life of John Paul II, to really see what his experience was from the moment of his birth to the moment of his death, we're going to be there firsthand together having this experience. So for the full detailed itinerary, please visit CatholicTalkShow.com/JP2. All the details are there. You're going to see how you could register, and we want you to join us.
See you in Poland.
God bless.